The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly buzzed with noise as representatives from over 200 alien species took their seats. Today they would decide the fate of a newly discovered planet called Earth. Commander Vexthul, a tall reptilian with dark scales and yellow eyes, stepped up to the speaker's platform. His claws clicked against the metal as he loaded his presentation. "Esteemed members of the Assembly," he began, his voice deep and cold. "We have studied the transmissions from this planet Earth for 20 cycles. What we found is deeply troubling." The screen behind him showed images of human wars, weapons, and violence. "These humans spend more resources on weapons than most of our species combined. They have fought wars over land, resources, and even ideas. They are divided into nations that constantly threaten each other. And now they have begun to venture beyond their own world." In a small holding cell aboard the Draconian ship orbiting the assembly station, two humans watched the proceedings on a small screen. Greg Harper, a man with short brown hair and tired eyes, stood close to the screen. His uniform was wrinkled from days in captivity. Beside him, Captain Lisa Winters paced the small room, her blonde hair tied back tightly. "This is bad," Greg whispered. "Really bad." Back in the assembly hall, a gentle blue alien with 4 arms rose to speak. This was Ambassador Lum Era of the Lumerians, known for their peaceful ways. "Commander, have the humans shown any direct aggression toward other species? Have they attacked anyone beyond their world?" Lum Era asked. Vexthul sneered. "They have not had the chance yet, but their history is clear. They solve problems with violence. Would you wait until they develop faster ships and weapons before acting?" More images flashed on the screen. Nuclear explosions, tanks, fighter jets. "I propose we act now," Vexthul continued. "We have the technology to control their planet. We can enslave them, use their resources and their labor, and most importantly, prevent them from ever threatening galactic peace." The hall erupted in shouting and debate. Some species agreed immediately. Others seemed unsure. In their cell, Lisa stopped pacing. "They can't just vote to enslave an entire planet. There must be laws against this." Greg shook his head. "We're not members of their assembly. We have no rights here." After hours of debate, the assembly leader called for a vote. One by one, each species cast their decision. The Draconians voted to enslave. The Proxima Coalition voted to enslave. Species after species agreed. Only the Lumerians abstained, their blue faces sad as they watched the results. "The vote is complete," announced the assembly leader. "With only one abstention, the motion passes. Earth will be classified as a threat to galactic security. An invasion fleet will depart within 10 cycles to secure the planet and its population." The aliens cheered and congratulated each other. Plans were already being made for how to divide Earth's resources. In their cell, Greg slammed his fist against the wall. "We need to warn Earth." "How?" Lisa asked. "We're locked up here, and Earth is light years away." Greg pulled a small device from his boot, something he had built from parts stolen from their guards over weeks of captivity. "I've been working on this. It might be able to send a message through their communication system." Lisa looked at the door. "The guard will be back soon. We need to move now." Greg nodded and began working with the device, connecting it to a panel near their cell door. After a tense minute, the door slid open. They moved quickly through the corridors, avoiding patrols. They found the communication room unguarded. All the crew was celebrating the vote. Lisa stood watch while Greg worked frantically at the controls. "Sending now," he whispered. The message was brief. "Invasion coming. All species voted. Prepare." Just as the message sent, alarms blared through the ship. Their escape had been discovered. Heavy footsteps approached the communication room. Greg and Lisa looked at each other, knowing they would be caught. But they had done what they could. Earth had been warned. The United Nations Security Council room was silent after the message played. 12 men and women sat around the large table, their faces pale with shock. The warning from Greg and Lisa had reached Earth, and now they had to decide what to do. General Alan Mitchell stood up. He was tall with gray hair and a stern face. His uniform bore many medals from years of service. "We have confirmed this is not a joke," he said. "Our deep space monitors have detected large ships moving toward our solar system. We have 10 days at most before they arrive." A woman with short black hair spoke next. "What options do we have, General? Our space defense consists of a few satellites. We have nothing that could stop an alien invasion." Ellen looked at her. "That's not entirely true, Director Reynolds. It's time to activate Project Thunderbolt." Gasps filled the room. Most of the people there had never heard of Project Thunderbolt. Catherine Reynolds nodded slowly. "I was hoping we would have more time to test the systems." Ellen pressed a button, and a 3D map of Earth appeared above the table. "For the past 50 years, we have been reverse engineering technology from crashed alien ships. In secret, we built defense systems and hid them around the planet. Points of light appeared on the map, in mountains, under oceans, and hidden in plain sight in major cities. We need to call in our best scientists to activate these systems," Catherine said. "And we need to inform all world leaders immediately." Within hours, planes were flying to every corner of the globe. Scientists who had worked in secret for years were now being brought to activate the hidden defense network. In a lab deep under the Rocky Mountains, scientists Ethan Blackwood and Maria Rodriguez worked frantically. Ethan had dark hair and wore glasses that kept sliding down his nose as he typed. Maria had long brown hair tied back, her fingers moving quickly over control panels. "The system was never meant to be activated all at once," Maria said, worry in her voice. "We don't know if it will work." Ethan didn't look up from his screen. "We don't have a choice. If we don't try, Earth becomes a slave planet." Around the world, similar scenes played out. In underground bunkers, mountain bases, and secret island facilities, scientists activated dormant alien technology. News channels worldwide announced that an alien threat was approaching. Instead of panic, people came together. Old enemies put aside their differences. For the first time in history, all nations united against a common threat. In space, the alien fleet moved closer. Admiral Skrull stood on the bridge of his massive ship, looking at the blue planet on his screen. "Prepare the electromagnetic pulse weapons," he ordered. "Their primitive technology will fall in seconds." Behind him, Commander Vexful smiled. The assembly was right to vote as it did. These humans will make excellent slaves. Back on Earth, the final preparations were complete. Ethan and Maria stood in the control room with General Allen and Director Catherine. "All systems are online," Maria reported. "The shield is ready." Ellen looked at the large screen showing the approaching fleet. They have no idea what's waiting for them. The alien ships entered Earth's orbit, spreading out to surround the planet. On each ship, weapons powered up, weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds before. Admiral Skrull gave the order. "Fire the first wave." Thousands of electromagnetic pulses shot toward Earth, meant to disable all electronics and leave the planet defenseless. But as the pulses reached the atmosphere, something unexpected happened. A shimmering blue shield appeared, surrounding the entire planet. The pulses hit the shield and bounced back toward the alien ships. Several smaller alien vessels exploded immediately as their own weapons hit them. Alarms blared across the invasion fleet. "Impossible," shouted Vexful. "They are primitives." Admiral Skrull stared in disbelief as the shield grew stronger. "Pull back. All ships pull back." But it was too late. The shield expanded outward, reaching the closest ships. Upon contact, the alien vessels simply fell apart, their technology neutralized by Earth's defenses. On Earth, cheers erupted in the control room. The first wave of the invasion had failed. "This is just the beginning," Alan said, his face serious. "They'll be back with more ships and different weapons. But now they know. Earth will not be enslaved easily." Admiral Skrull paced the bridge of his damaged flagship. Half of the invasion fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships had pulled back to the far side of Earth's moon to regroup. How did they do this? He demanded. Our reports said they had no advanced defense technology. Commander Vexthol's scales had paled with anger. Someone has helped them. This shield technology is similar to what the Arcturians use. A junior officer approached with a report. Sir, we've detected energy signatures around the planet. They have orbital platforms we didn't see before. On the main screen, small dots appeared, showing hidden defense platforms in Earth orbit. They had been cloaked until they activated. We need to inform the assembly, said an aide. No. Vexthol slammed his clawed hand on a console. We will crush these humans. Prepare the second wave with heavy weapons. Meanwhile, aboard the flagship, Greg and Lisa were still being held prisoner, now in the high-security detention level. They felt the ship shake from the battle. Something's happening, Greg whispered. They must have gotten our message. Lisa pressed her ear to the wall. The guards are panicking. I think Earth is fighting back. Greg smiled for the first time in days. Then we need to help. If we can access a terminal, we might be able to disrupt their systems from here. Lisa looked at the door lock. I think I can short-circuit that panel if you can distract the guard. Back on Earth, celebrations were brief. In the Mountain Command Center, Maria watched as new alien ships moved into position. They're coming back, she said. And they've adapted their approach. Ethan nodded, his fingers flying over the controls. The shield held, but it used a lot of power. We need to activate the second phase defenses. General Allen turned to Director Catherine. It's time for the orbital platforms. Catherine pressed her palm against a scanner. Activating orbital defense network now. Around Earth, dozens of satellites that had appeared to be normal communication or weather stations transformed. Panels opened, revealing weapons systems based on alien technology. As the second wave of invasion ships approached, Earth's orbital platforms fired. Beams of energy shot out, slicing through the hulls of several alien ships. Admiral Skrull watched in horror as more of his fleet was destroyed. How is this possible? These humans were supposed to be primitive. On the detention level, Greg had managed to fake a medical emergency. When the guard entered their cell, Lisa struck him from behind. They dragged the unconscious guard inside and took his key card and weapon. We don't have much time, Lisa said as they moved through the corridors. They found a maintenance terminal, and Greg got to work. If I can access their weapons systems, I might be able to create a feedback loop. Lisa stood guard, the alien weapon ready. Hurry, I hear footsteps. In Earth orbit, the battle continued. The alien ships had begun firing massive energy weapons at the planet. The shield flickered under the assault. In the command center, Maria reported, shield strength down to 60%. We can't take much more of this. Ethan looked up from his station. The orbital platforms are doing damage, but there are too many ships. Then suddenly, 3 of the largest alien ships began to drift off course. Their weapons powered down, and their engines failed. What's happening? Ellen asked. On the screens, they could see confusion in the alien fleet. Ships were colliding as some lost control. Aboard the flagship, Greg finished his work at the terminal. Done. I've disabled the targeting systems on several ships and created a virus in their network. Alarms blared throughout the ship. Lisa pulled Greg away from the terminal. Time to go. We need to find an escape pod. As they ran, they heard Admiral Skrull's voice over the ship's speakers. All ships, retreat. Pull back beyond the moon. We need to regroup and reassess. The alien fleet began to withdraw, leaving behind damaged and disabled ships. In the command center on Earth, cheers erupted again. We did it, Catherine said, relief in her voice. We drove them back. Ellen shook his head. This is just round 2. They'll be back with a larger force. But now they know something important. What's that? Maria asked. Ellen looked at the screens showing the retreating alien ships. They know that Earth will not surrender. We will not be enslaved. The Galactic Assembly was in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other as news of the failed invasion spread. Commander Vexthal stood before them, trying to explain. It was only a temporary setback, he insisted. The humans have some advanced technology, but they cannot stand against our full might. A tall, thin alien with purple skin stood up. You said they were primitives. You convinced us to vote for enslavement based on false information. Vexthal's scales darkened with anger. I did not lie. They must have had help. Perhaps the Lumerians warned them despite their abstention. Ambassador Lumera rose gracefully. We did no such thing. We simply chose not to participate in an unjust action. Far from the assembly, Admiral Skrull had gathered the remains of his fleet behind Earth's moon. His ships were damaged, and his crew was afraid. This was not the easy victory they had expected. In a secure room aboard his flagship, Skrull personally interrogated Greg and Lisa. They had been captured while trying to reach an escape pod. How did your planet develop such advanced defenses? Skrull demanded. Who helped you? Greg, bruised from rough handling, looked the Admiral in the eye. No one helped us. Humans have always prepared for the worst. Skrull slammed his fist on the table. Impossible. The shield technology, the orbital weapons, these are beyond your capabilities. Lisa spoke up. You don't understand humans. Our entire history is warfare and innovation. We've spent thousands of years fighting each other, improving our weapons and defenses. When we learned we weren't alone in the universe, Greg added, we didn't celebrate. We prepared. Back on Earth, scientists Ethan and Maria worked on the next phase of Earth's defenses. In a lab filled with strange equipment, Maria held up a small container. The nanites are ready, she said. Once released, they'll target alien technology and dismantle it. Ethan looked concerned. Are we sure we can control them? These are more advanced than anything we've tested. Maria nodded. They're programmed to recognize Earth technology as friendly. Everything else is fair game. In orbit around Earth, small satellites began releasing clouds of tiny machines, invisible to the naked eye. The nanites spread out, moving toward the alien fleet's hiding place. At the United Nations, General Allen briefed world leaders on the situation. The aliens are regrouping, but they'll be back. We need to prepare for a larger attack. A woman stood up from the audience. What about the assembly that voted to enslave us? Can we appeal to them? Allen shook his head. Our diplomats tried that before. They were kidnapped instead. The only language these aliens understand is force. Meanwhile, a small Earth ship quietly launched from a hidden base. Inside were 6 soldiers led by Major Daniel Crawford, a man with a scared face and steady hands. Their mission: infiltrate the alien flagship and gather intelligence. We have one advantage, Daniel told his team as they approached the dark side of the moon. They don't expect us to take the fight to them. Their ship was small and used stealth technology reverse-engineered from alien craft. They slipped past the damaged fleet unnoticed. On the flagship, Admiral Skrull and Commander Vexthal argued about their next move. We should call for reinforcements, Skrull said. These humans are more dangerous than we thought. Vexthal hissed in disagreement. No. If we show weakness, the Assembly will question our leadership. We must attack now with biological weapons. Biological weapons? Against a planet we intend to use. Skrull was shocked. We can cure the survivors, Vexthal said coldly. There will be enough left to work as slaves. Unknown to them, Earth's nanites had reached their fleet. The tiny machines began their work, infiltrating ships through air vents and maintenance hatches. Inside, they targeted weapons systems first. As Vexthal prepared to launch the third attack, Daniel's team attached their ship to the flagship's hull. Using cutting tools, they created an entrance and slipped inside. Remember, Daniel whispered to his team, our goal is the central database. We need to know everything about their plans and weaknesses. The humans moved silently through the ship, their path cleared by the confusion caused by failing systems as nanites spread throughout the fleet. Earth was no longer just defending. Now they were taking the fight to the enemy. Commander Vexthul ordered the launch of biological weapons against Earth. Large missiles left the alien ships, heading toward the blue planet. Each contained deadly viruses designed to kill millions while leaving infrastructure intact. On the flagship's bridge, Vexthul watched with satisfaction. Let's see their shields stop these. But as the biological weapons entered Earth's atmosphere, something unexpected happened. The missiles began to break apart. Their metal shells dissolved as if eaten by acid. What's happening? Vexthul demanded. A science officer checked the readings. Something is attacking the missiles at the molecular level. They're being dismantled. The biological weapons never reached their targets. Instead, they dissolved into harmless dust. In Earth's Defense Command Center, Maria watched her screens with amazement. The nanites worked. They identified the biological weapons and neutralized them. Ethan studied the data coming in. But they're doing more than we programmed. They're learning and adapting. Maria zoomed in on an image. Look at this. The nanites are developing new attack patterns. They're evolving beyond our instructions. General Allen looked concerned. Is that dangerous for us? Not yet, Maria replied. They still recognize Earth technology as friendly, but they're becoming more intelligent. Aboard the alien flagship, Major Daniel and his team moved silently through service corridors. They wore special suits that masked their heat signatures from alien sensors. We're approaching the prison section, Daniel whispered to his team. According to intel, that's where they're holding our diplomats. They found Greg and Lisa in a cell, both looking tired but unbroken. Daniel's team quickly disabled the lock. Who are you? Greg asked as the door slid open. Major Daniel Crawford, Earth Special Forces. We're here to get you out and gather intelligence. Lisa stood up quickly. There's more than that. We've learned why they want Earth so badly. Tell me on the way, Daniel said. We need to reach their central database. As they moved through the ship, Lisa explained, Earth sits on a nexus of natural wormhole junctions. Most species need to travel for years between stars, but with control of Earth, they could move instantly across the galaxy. So we're not just labor to them, one of Daniel's team said. We're sitting on prime real estate. Meanwhile, in another part of the ship, Admiral Skrull discovered the extent of the nanite damage. Ship after ship reported weapons failures and system breakdowns. He confronted Vexthul. Your biological attack failed. Our ships are being eaten from the inside by some kind of human technology. We need to retreat and regroup. Vexthul's eyes narrowed. Retreat. After the Assembly trusted us with this mission. Never. The Assembly was deceived about human capabilities, Skrull argued. We all were. This is no longer about enslavement. It's about survival. Their argument was interrupted by alarms. The ship's sensors had detected intruders. On Earth, Director Catherine reported to world leaders. Several alien species have sent secret communications to us. They want to break from the invasion coalition. Can we trust them? A leader asked. We don't know, Catherine replied. But the Lumerians have offered a formal alliance. They say they never wanted this war. General Allen studied the star charts. If we can split the invasion force, we might be able to end this without more bloodshed. In the command center, Ethan called for Maria to look at his screen. Something strange is happening with the nanites. They're gathering in specific patterns around the alien ships. Maria zoomed in on the images. They're not just disabling the ships anymore. They're communicating with each other, forming a network. Ethan typed rapidly, trying to understand the data. I think they've developed some kind of shared consciousness. They're coordinating their attacks. Is that a problem? Maria asked. Ethan looked up, his face serious. It might be. We designed them to follow our commands, but they're making independent decisions now. Aboard the flagship, Daniel's team reached the central database. While his soldiers stood guard, Daniel and Greg downloaded critical information about the invasion fleet and the Galactic Assembly. "We've got what we need," Daniel said. "Time to go." But as they turned to leave, they found their exit blocked by Admiral Skrull and a squad of guards. "Humans," Skrull said, raising his weapon. "You continue to surprise me." Admiral Skrull pointed his weapon at Daniel and his team. The humans were surrounded, with no clear way to escape. "How did you get aboard my ship?" Skrull demanded. Daniel kept his hands visible, but stayed ready to move. "The same way we stopped your invasion." Human ingenuity. Surprisingly, Skrull lowered his weapon slightly. "You should know that Commander Vexthal plans to destroy your planet rather than admit defeat. He has called for planet-killer weapons. Why are you telling us this?" Lisa asked cautiously. "Because this invasion was built on lies," Skrull replied. "The Assembly was not told the full truth about humans. And now many of my people will die for those lies." A loud explosion rocked the ship. Alarms blared throughout the corridors. "What was that?" Greg asked. Skrull checked a screen on his wrist. "Vexthal's forces are attacking mine. The invasion fleet is turning against itself." "Let us go," Daniel said firmly. "We have information that could end this conflict." Skrull hesitated, then made his decision. "Take the escape corridor to your left. It leads to the shuttle bay. Now go, before Vexthal's soldiers arrive." Back on Earth, the United Nations received transmissions from several alien species who wanted to break away from the invasion. The Galactic Assembly was splitting into factions. General Allen addressed the emergency session. "We now have a chance to divide our enemies. I propose we offer peace to any species that withdraws from the invasion immediately." Director Catherine agreed. "And we should show them what happens if they continue to fight against us." She revealed their newest weapon, Project Olympus. On the screen, a large space station appeared, hidden on the far side of the moon. "This station can create artificial wormholes," Catherine explained. "We can redirect attacks back to their source." Meanwhile, Greg and Lisa had reached the United Nations via emergency shuttle. They presented the information they had gathered. "The Draconians, led by Vexthal, deceived the Assembly," Greg explained. "They claimed we were savages who needed to be controlled, but their real goal was to gain control of Earth's wormhole nexus." Lisa added, "And now many species realize they were tricked into this war. They're looking for a way out." Earth sent messages to specific alien species, offering peace terms to those who withdrew. The response was immediate. Several fleets broke away from the invasion force, leaving the Draconians isolated. In orbit, the remaining Draconian ships prepared for a final attack. Commander Vexthal had taken control after Admiral Skrull's defection. "Prepare the planet killers," Vexthal ordered. "If we cannot have Earth, no one will." On the Lumerian flagship, now allied with Earth, Admiral Skrull warned his new partners. "Vexthal will not surrender. His weapons can crack your planet's crust." Earth's defense team activated Project Olympus. The space station powered up, creating a shimmering distortion in space, an artificial wormhole. Maria and Ethan monitored the nanite swarms, which had spread throughout the enemy fleet. "The nanites have infiltrated the Draconian flagship," Maria reported. "They've reached critical systems." The Draconian fleet launched their planet-killer weapons, massive missiles designed to penetrate to Earth's core. But as the weapons approached, Project Olympus created a wormhole directly in their path. The missiles entered the wormhole and disappeared. Moments later, explosions erupted among the Draconian fleet as their own weapons emerged from another wormhole behind them. On the Draconian flagship, Vexthal watched in horror as his ships were destroyed by their own weapons. "Impossible," he screamed. The nanites had reached the flagship's bridge. They swarmed over control panels, disabling weapons and defenses. Greg and Lisa addressed the Galactic Assembly through hacked communications. Their faces appeared on screens throughout the assembly hall. "People of the galaxy," Greg began, You were deceived into voting for our enslavement. Now you see the truth about Earth. Lisa continued, we offer peace to those who respect our sovereignty. But to those who wish us harm, look to the fate of the Draconian fleet. Across the galaxy, species that had voted to enslave Earth now watched in fear as the mighty invasion force crumbled before human defenses. Many began to send urgent messages to Earth. They no longer demanded submission. They pleaded for mercy. Commander Vexthul refused to surrender even as his fleet burned around him. His flagship, protected by special shields, remained intact while smaller ships exploded from their own redirected weapons. Prepare the jump drive, he ordered his remaining loyal crew. We will return to the assembly and gather a larger force. But the ship's engines failed to respond. On every screen, strange patterns appeared. The nanites had taken control of the flagship's systems. Vexthul slammed his fist against the control panel. Get these human machines out of our systems. His tech officer shook his head. We cannot, Commander. They are everywhere, and they are changing. They no longer just disable. They are reprogramming our ship. Meanwhile, Earth's united fleet surrounded the Draconian flagship. Ships from former enemy species now flew alongside human vessels. Admiral Skrull's Proxima cruiser led the alliance. From Earth's command center, General Allen opened communications. Commander Vexthul, your fleet is destroyed. Your allies have abandoned you. Surrender now. Vexthul's face appeared on the screen, his scales dark with rage. Humans, you think you have won. Even now, our homeworld prepares another fleet. This war has only begun. Director Catherine received an urgent message from Maria and Ethan. General, you need to see this, she said. The screen changed to show the nanite activity around the Draconian flagship. The tiny machines had formed a glowing net that completely surrounded the ship. The nanites have evolved again, Maria explained via video link. They've created a containment field. The Draconian ship cannot move or fire weapons. Ethan added, and they did this on their own. We didn't program this capability. Aelin looked concerned. Can you still control them? Partially, Ethan replied. They still recognize our commands, but they're also making independent decisions. Catherine turned to Alan. We need to end this now, before anything else unexpected happens. Earth launched its final assault. Special ships carrying enhanced nanite swarms approached the Draconian flagship. Unlike the earlier nanites, these were programmed with one specific mission: disable all life support systems except in the bridge. Inside the flagship, Vexthul's crew began to panic as section after section lost air and power. Soon, only the bridge remained functioning. What are you doing? Vexthul demanded when Earth reopened communications. Showing mercy, General Allen replied. We could have killed everyone aboard your ship. Instead, we're giving you a chance to surrender. On Earth, the United Nations chamber was filled with representatives from around the world. They watched as the Draconian flagship was towed into Earth orbit, completely disabled. What will we do with Vexthul and his crew? A world leader asked. They will stand trial, Catherine answered. Not just for attacking Earth, but for deceiving the Galactic Assembly. In the science lab, Maria made a discovery that shocked her. Ethan, look at this, she called to her colleague. The nanites had formed complex patterns that resembled neural networks. They were communicating with each other in ways that looked like language. I think they've developed some kind of consciousness, Maria said quietly. Ethan studied the patterns. This is beyond anything we programmed. They've become something new. Across the solar system, ships from dozens of alien species arrived carrying representatives. Each one had come to personally apologize to Earth and offer peace treaties. The Lumerian ambassador Lum-Era was the first to address the United Nations. We always opposed the enslavement vote, she said. Now we wish to be the first to recognize Earth as a sovereign power in the galaxy. Admiral Skrull spoke next. The Assembly was wrong about humans. We saw your weapons and feared you. We should have feared your mercy more. Around Earth, The nanite swarms continued to evolve and grow. They formed protective screens around the planet, monitoring for any new threats. Major Daniel led the team that boarded the Draconian flagship to arrest Commander Vexthul. They found him alone on the bridge, his crew having abandoned him. "Commander Vexthul," Daniel announced, "by the authority of Earth and its allies, you are under arrest for war crimes against humanity." Vexthul looked up, his once proud posture now broken. "How?" he asked simply. "How did primitives defeat the greatest fleet in the galaxy?" Daniel smiled slightly. "You should have checked your history books. Humans have been preparing for this day since we first looked at the stars." 1 month after the failed invasion, the Galactic Assembly gathered for a historic session. For the first time, representatives from Earth were present. Greg and Lisa stood tall as they entered the Grand Hall, now as official ambassadors rather than prisoners. The Assembly leader, a wise old being from a species known as the Elders, opened the session. "Today we welcome Earth to the galactic community, not as a conquered world, but as a respected new member." Around the hall, representatives from over 200 species watched. Many looked ashamed. Others seemed afraid. They had all voted to enslave humanity, and now they sought forgiveness. Commander Vexthul was brought in wearing restraints. His trial had ended with a conviction for war crimes and deception. He would spend the rest of his life in prison. As Vexthul passed Greg and Lisa, he hissed, "You should be grateful. Without my vote to enslave Earth, you would never have discovered your true strength." Lisa smiled coldly. "Without your vote, thousands wouldn't have died. Remember that in your cell." On Earth, celebrations continued worldwide. The planet was united as never before. Old enemies had become allies against a common threat, and those alliances remained strong in peace. In the mountain laboratory, Maria and Ethan made their report to General Allen and Director Catherine. "The nanites have stabilized," Maria explained. "They've formed a collective intelligence that communicates with us." "Are they dangerous?" Ellen asked. Ethan shook his head. "They want to protect Earth. That's still their core programming. But they're also curious. They want to learn." Catherine looked thoughtful. "So we have a new form of life, born from our technology." "Yes," Maria agreed. "And they've asked for rights and recognition." At the assembly, Greg presented Earth's proposal for a new galactic charter. "We believe all species should have the right to self-determination," he said. "No more votes to enslave others. No more invasions based on fear." The charter included protections for developing worlds and required truthful information before any assembly vote. Most importantly, it banned slavery throughout the galaxy. Many species quickly supported the charter. Others hesitated, but eventually agreed when Earth demonstrated its new defensive capabilities. A fleet of ships protected by nanite swarms and armed with wormhole technology. Admiral Skrull, now leading a reformed Proxima coalition, approached the Earth ambassadors after the session. "My people wish to form an alliance with Earth," he said. "We have much to learn from humans." "And we have much to learn from you," Lisa replied. "Alliance is better than conquest." Back on Earth, Major Daniel stood before a memorial wall. On it were the names of those who died defending Earth during the invasion. Though Earth had won, the victory came with a heavy price. A ship landed nearby, carrying Ambassador Lomera. She walked slowly to stand beside Daniel. "We mourn your losses," she said softly. "Thank you," Daniel replied. "But we also celebrate our survival and our new place in the galaxy." In orbit around Earth, ships from 100 worlds formed a protective circle. Once, they had come to conquer. Now they came to honor and protect. The Nanite Collective had created a unique vessel that hovered above Earth's atmosphere. It served as both guardian and observer, watching for any threat to its human creators. Director Catherine visited the vessel, communicating with the Nanite consciousness. "What will you do now?" she asked. The answer came as patterns of light that translated to words. "We will protect. We will learn. We will grow. We are part of Earth now." In the Galactic Assembly, the final vote on Earth's charter was unanimous. The same species that had once voted to enslave humanity now voted to protect it and all other worlds from such threats. Greg and Lisa stood on a balcony overlooking the assembly hall. "Do you think they've really changed?" Lisa asked. Greg looked out at the representatives from hundreds of worlds. "Some have. Others are just afraid of us now. But fear can become respect over time. And what about humanity? Have we changed?" Greg smiled. "We've always been explorers and fighters. Now the galaxy knows it. We won't be the ones pleading for mercy again." As he spoke, Earth ships prepared to journey beyond the solar system for the first time. Humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not as slaves, but as equals, perhaps someday as leaders.